Maya's hands trembled as she pressed send on the email. The acceptance letter from Hanbit International Academy in Seoul glowed on her laptop screen, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. This was it. This was everything she dreamed about since she was 12 years old, staying up past midnight to watch Korean dramas with terrible subtitles, teaching herself Hangul from YouTube videos, and imagining what it would be like to walk down streets where her favorite songs played in every cafe. Her mother appeared in the doorway, concern etched across her face. "Maya, honey, are you sure about this? Seoul is so far away." "Mom, I've never been more sure of anything in my life," Maya said, her voice cracking with emotion. "I need to do this. I need to see if everything I've felt all these years is real." 3 weeks later, Maya stood in Incheon Airport, her suitcase wheels squeaking against the polished floor as waves of Korean conversations washed over her. The air smelled different, a mixture of cosmetics from the duty-free shops and something distinctly foreign yet familiar. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she navigated through the crowds, following signs she could barely read despite all her studying. Mrs. Kim, her host mother, waited at arrivals with a handwritten sign that read Maya Johnson in careful English letters. The woman's warm smile immediately eased some of Maya's anxiety as she bowed deeply. And Maya returned the gesture, hoping her form was correct. "Welcome to Korea," Mrs. Kim said in accented English, reaching for Maya's suitcase. "You must be so tired from the flight." The drive through Seoul left Maya speechless. Neon signs blazed in Hangul and English. Towers of apartments stretched endlessly into the night sky. And everywhere she looked, she saw scenes that could have been pulled directly from her favorite dramas. The Han River sparkled with reflected lights, and even at this late hour, the streets buzzed with energy. Mrs. Kim's apartment was modest but cozy, located in a bustling neighborhood near Hongdae. The walls were thin enough that Maya could hear K-pop playing from somewhere nearby, and the smell of kimchi jjigae drifted up from a restaurant on the ground floor. As she unpacked her suitcase, carefully arranging her collection of Korean skincare products and the Polaroid photos from home, reality finally sank in. She was here. She was actually here. Sleep didn't come easily that first night. Maya lay awake, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of Seoul outside her window, the occasional motorbike, distant conversations, the rhythmic beeping of a crosswalk signal. Tomorrow, she would start at Hanbit International Academy. Tomorrow, her real life would begin. The morning arrived too quickly. Maya changed outfits 3 times before settling on something that felt both casual and put together. High-waisted jeans and a simple white blouse that she hoped didn't scream foreigner. The walk to school took 15 minutes through winding streets that seemed to shift between modern and traditional with every block. She stopped at a GS25 convenience store, marveling at the rows of triangle kimbap and banana milk she'd only ever seen in videos. Hanbit International Academy's building was sleek and modern, with glass walls and a courtyard where students gathered in clusters. Maya clutched her bag tighter as she walked through the gates, acutely aware of the glances thrown her way. In homeroom, when the teacher asked her to introduce herself, every eye turned toward her with varying degrees of curiosity and indifference. "I'm Maya Johnson from California," she said, her voice smaller than she intended. "I'm really excited to be here and learn more about Korean culture." A few students smiled. Most went back to their phones. One girl, near the window, with striking features and an expensive-looking uniform, whispered something to her friend that made them both laugh. Maya felt her cheeks burn as she took her seat. During lunch, a friendly Japanese student named Yuki slid her tray next to Maya's in the cafeteria. "Don't worry about Sora," Yuki said, nodding toward the girl from homeroom. "She's like that with everyone new. Thinks she owns the place because her family has money." "Thanks," Maya said, grateful for any friendly face. "Is it always like this? I mean, do people warm up eventually?" "Some do, some don't," Yuki shrugged. "Just be yourself. The right people will notice." After school, Maya wandered the neighborhood alone, too overwhelmed to head straight back to the apartment. She discovered a small cafe tucked down an alley, lined with potted plants. Moonlight Brew, according to the hand-painted sign above the door. Inside, the space was intimate and warm, with mismatched furniture and walls covered in local artwork. Soft indie music played from speakers she couldn't see. Maya approached the counter and attempted to order in Korean. "Iced Americano, please." The barista, a woman in her 20s with purple hair, smiled kindly and responded in English. Of course, your Korean is good. How long have you been studying? About 4 years, Maya admitted. Paying with the card Mrs. Kim had helped her set up. But it's different actually being here. You'll pick it up fast, the barista assured her. Enjoy your coffee. Maya found a seat by the window, pulling out her notebook to sketch the view outside, a narrow street with a traditional Korean house visible between modern buildings. She was so absorbed in her drawing that she didn't notice someone approaching until a shadow fell across her page. That's really good, a male voice said in perfect English. Maya looked up and felt her breath catch. The boy standing next to her table was tall and lean, with dark hair that fell artfully across his forehead and eyes that seemed to hold both warmth and something guarded. He wore the Hanbit Academy uniform but had it styled in a way that suggested effortless confidence, sleeves rolled up, tie slightly loosened. He carried an art portfolio under one arm. Oh, thank you, Maya managed, suddenly very aware of every pencil stroke on her page. I'm just practicing. Do you go to Hanbit? I haven't seen you before. He gestured to the chair across from her. Mind if I sit? All the other tables are taken? Maya glanced around the nearly empty cafe and bit back a smile. Sure, go ahead. He set down his portfolio and extended his hand. I'm Tae-won, Kim Tae-won. Maya Johnson, she said, shaking his hand and noticing how warm it was. I just started today, actually, so yeah, you wouldn't have seen me. First day? Tae-won's eyebrows rose. That's brave, coming all the way to Korea for school. Where are you from? California. And I don't know if it's brave or just necessary? Maya found herself relaxing despite her nerves. I've been obsessed with Korea since I was a kid. K-dramas, K-pop, the whole thing. It probably sounds silly. It's not silly, Tae-won said, and something in his voice made her believe him. It's passion. That's rare. Most people at our school are just going through the motions. They talked for over an hour. Tae-won told her about his love for art, how he spent more time sketching than studying, much to his father's disappointment. Maya shared her favorite dramas and how she'd learned Korean by watching without subtitles, rewinding scenes over and over until she understood. He laughed at her impression of a drama heroine's dramatic gasp, and she felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with the coffee. Here, Tae-won said, pulling out his phone. Let me give you my number. I can show you around the neighborhood sometime. There are some really good spots for sketching near the Han River. Maya's hands shook slightly as she entered his contact information. This felt like something out of one of her dramas. The chance meeting, the instant connection, the handsome boy with the mysterious smile. As they said goodbye and Tae-won headed out, she sat back down and let out a long breath, her heart racing. The next morning at school, Maya spotted Tae-won in the courtyard before first period. He stood with a group of students who all carried themselves with the same polished confidence, expensive bags, perfect hair, the casual arrogance of people who'd never had to try very hard. When Maya caught his eye and waved enthusiastically, genuinely happy to see a familiar face, Tae-won's expression flickered with something she couldn't read. He turned away, saying something to his friends that made them laugh. Maya's hand dropped slowly to her side. Confusion washed over her, followed quickly by embarrassment. Had she imagined yesterday? Had she completely misread their connection? Yuki appeared at her elbow during the break between classes. That's Kim Tae-won, she said quietly. His father owns one of the biggest tech companies in Seoul. He's like untouchable at this school. He doesn't really talk to new students, especially international ones. Did something happen? No, Maya lied, her throat tight. Nothing happened. But something had happened, and Maya couldn't make sense of it. Throughout the day, she caught glimpses of Tae-won in the halls, and each time, he seemed to look through her as if she were invisible. The warmth and openness from the cafe had vanished, replaced by cool indifference. Maya told herself it didn't matter, that she'd come to Korea for herself, not for some boy, but the sting of rejection settled heavy in her chest. That evening, as she helped Mrs. Kim prepare dinner, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I'm sorry about today. Can we talk? Same cafe, 7 p.m.? Maya stared at the screen, her heart doing complicated gymnastics. It was Tae-won. It had to be. She typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on a simple, "Okay." At Moonlight Brew, Tae-won was already waiting, sitting at the same table by the window. He looked different somehow, less polished, more real. His uniform jacket was draped over the chair, and he'd pushed his hair back in a way that made him look younger, more vulnerable. "I'm sorry," he said, before Maya even sat down. "I was a jerk today." "Yeah, you were," Maya said, not letting him off easy. She ordered a green tea and took the seat across from him, maintaining careful distance. "What was that about? Did I do something wrong?" Tae-won ran his hand through his hair, a gesture that seemed unconscious. "No, God, no. You didn't do anything wrong. It's complicated. At school, there are expectations. My family, they have this reputation to maintain. My father is always watching, not literally, but people report back to him. Who I talk to, who I'm seen with, everything. And being seen with me would be a problem?" Maya felt anger rising in her throat. "Not you specifically," Tae-won said quickly. "Anyone new, anyone who might be a distraction from the path my father has planned. Top grades, top university, join the family business. No deviation, no rebellion, no being a normal teenager." Maya studied him, seeing past the perfect exterior to the exhaustion underneath. "That sounds lonely." "It is," Tae-won admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "That's why I come here. This place, it's off the usual path. No one from school comes here. I can just be me. Not my father's son, not the top student, not the guy everyone wants something from." "And yesterday?" Maya prompted, needing to understand. "What was that?" "Yesterday was me being selfish," Tae-won said, meeting her eyes. The intensity there made Maya's breath catch. "I saw you sitting here, drawing, and you looked so peaceful, so genuine. Everyone at school is playing some game, wearing some mask. But you were just yourself. I wanted to know you. I needed to know someone real. But at school, I have to be someone else," Tae-won interrupted. "I know it's not fair to you. I know I'm asking too much. But could this be our space? Here, away from all of that?" Maya wanted to be angry. She wanted to tell him that she hadn't moved halfway across the world to be someone's secret. But looking at his face, seeing the genuine struggle there, she found herself nodding. "Okay, but you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't pretend I don't exist at school," Maya said firmly. "You don't have to act like we're best friends, but don't look through me like I'm invisible. That hurt." "I promise," Tae-won said, relief flooding his features. "I'll do better." They stayed until the cafe closed, talking about everything and nothing. Tae-won showed her his sketches, beautiful, melancholic drawings of Seoul at night, empty subway cars, lonely figures on bridges. Maya shared her dreams of maybe staying in Korea for university, of making this place more than just a temporary adventure. When they finally left, walking in the same direction for a few blocks before parting ways, Tae-won briefly touched her hand so quickly she almost missed it. "Thank you," he said softly, "for understanding." The following weeks fell into a pattern. At school, Tae-won was polite but distant, occasionally nodding in acknowledgement when they passed in halls but maintaining careful space. At Moonlight Brew, which became their unofficial meeting place 3 or 4 evenings a week, he transformed into someone entirely different, open, funny, passionate about art and music and all the things his father disapproved of. Maya found herself living in 2 worlds. At school, she was the international student, still finding her footing, making friends slowly with Yuki and a few others. At the cafe, she was the girl who made Tae-won laugh until his eyes crinkled, who challenged his perspectives and shared her own dreams without filter. Then Sora transferred into their homeroom. Maya had noticed her before, the girl with designer bags and perfect makeup who always seemed to be at the center of attention. But having her in the same classroom was different. Sora had a way of commanding space, of making everyone else feel slightly less important just by existing. During the first group project assignment, Sora made sure to position herself next to Tae-won, laughing at his comments and touching his arm with casual familiarity. Maya tried not to watch, focusing instead on her own work, but it was impossible to ignore. "Your Korean is getting better," Sora said during break, approaching Maya's desk with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Tae-won mentioned you've been studying hard." Maya's stomach dropped. "Tae-won said that?" Oh, yes, we talk about lots of things, Sora said airily. Our families are close, you know. Business partners. We've known each other since we were children. She leaned in conspiratorially. Between you and me, I think his father is hoping we'll end up together. Merge the family businesses, you know how it is. Maya forced herself to smile. That's nice. But it wasn't nice. It was a knife sliding between her ribs, sharp and precise. That evening, she didn't go to Moonlight Brew. She texted Tae-won that she had homework, which wasn't entirely a lie, and stayed in her room, staring at her textbooks without seeing the words. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. Messages from Tae-won. Are you okay? Did something happen? Please talk to me. She ignored them all. The next day at school, whispers followed Maya through the hallways. She caught fragments. Desperate, chasing after him. Doesn't understand how things work here. During lunch, when she sat down next to Yuki, her friend looked uncomfortable. Maya, I need to tell you something, Yuki said quietly. Sora's been spreading rumors. She's saying you've been obsessed with Tae-won, that you followed him to some cafe and won't leave him alone. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. That's not what happened. I know that, Yuki said quickly, but other people don't. And Sora's really good at making people believe her version of things. As if summoned by the conversation, Sora appeared at their table, flanked by two friends. Maya, right? I just wanted to check if you were okay. Tae-won mentioned you've been texting him a lot, and I know it can be confusing when guys are just being polite. I thought maybe you didn't realize he was just being nice because you're new. The cafeteria had gone quiet. Maya felt dozens of eyes on her, felt the weight of judgment and assumption pressing down like a physical force. Her hands clenched under the table. I haven't been texting him, Maya said, keeping her voice steady despite the fury rising in her chest. But thanks for your concern. Oh, I must have misunderstood, Sora said with exaggerated innocence. He just seemed uncomfortable when he mentioned it, but I'm sure it's fine. She smiled sweetly. See you in class. Maya barely made it through the rest of the day. When the final bell rang, she practically ran from the building, not caring where she went as long as it was away from the stares and whispers. She found herself on a bench near the Han River, watching the water flow and feeling tears slip down her cheeks that she couldn't hold back anymore. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. She'd come to Korea for adventure, for culture, for herself, not for this painful confusion, not to be someone's secret, not to become the subject of cruel rumors. Her phone buzzed. Tae-won again. Where are you? I heard what happened. Please, let me explain. Maya turned her phone face down on the bench. She didn't want explanations. She wanted everything to go back to being simple, back to those first days when Korea was still full of endless possibility, and not complicated by boys with sad eyes and girls who knew exactly where to strike to cause maximum damage. Maya. She looked up to find Tae-won standing a few feet away, slightly out of breath like he'd been running. His uniform was rumpled, his hair messy from the wind off the river. How did you find me? She asked, wiping at her face. You mentioned once that you liked watching the river when you needed to think, he said, moving closer cautiously. Can I sit? Maya shrugged, too tired to fight. Tae-won sat on the other end of the bench, maintaining careful distance. I never said those things, he began. I never complained about you. Never said you were texting too much. Never called you desperate. Sora made all of that up. Why would she do that? Maya asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Because she wants me, or more accurately, she wants what I represent, Tae-won said bitterly. Our families have this arrangement. Not official, but everyone knows. If we end up together, it would be perfect for business. Sora's used to getting what she wants, and when she saw us talking at school, even just that brief moment you waved at me, she knew something was different. You should have defended me, Maya said, her voice cracking. When you heard the rumors, you should have said something. You're right, Tae-won said immediately. You're absolutely right. I was a coward. I was afraid of making waves, afraid of my father finding out, afraid of everything except what I should have been afraid of, losing you. Maya looked at him then. Really looked at him. His eyes were red-rimmed, his hands trembling slightly. I'm not even yours to lose, Tae-won. I don't even know what we are. I want you to be mine, Tae-won said, the words tumbling out rushed and desperate. I want everyone to know. I'm tired of hiding, tired of pretending, tired of being who everyone else needs me to be. You came all the way across the world for your dream. The least I can do is be brave enough to stand up for mine. Your dream, Maya whispered. You, he said simply. Being with someone who sees me, really sees me. Someone who doesn't care about my family's money or my father's company or any of it. Someone who just wants to drink bad coffee and talk about art and make me laugh. You're my dream, Maya. The words hung in the air between them, fragile and precious. Maya felt her anger dissolving, replaced by something equally terrifying, hope. I can't be your secret anymore, she said firmly. If we do this, if this is real, then it has to be real everywhere, not just at the cafe. I know, Tae-won said, moving closer until only inches separated them. Tomorrow at school, everyone will know. My father can be angry. Sora can spread whatever rumors she wants. None of it matters anymore. I just need to know. Do you want this too? Do you want me? Maya thought about everything she'd been through, the courage it took to move to Korea, the loneliness of being an outsider, the painful lesson that reality was messier than any drama. But she also thought about the way Tae-won looked at her art, really seeing what she was trying to express. The way he listened when she talked about home, about her family, about her fears, the way he'd slowly become the best part of her days. Yes, she said. I want this. I want you. Tae-won kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious that might break. The Han River flowed beside them. The city lights began to flicker on in the gathering dusk, and for the first time since arriving in Seoul, Maya felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The next morning, Tae-won was waiting at the school gates. When Maya approached, he took her hand in full view of the arriving students and didn't let go. The whispers started immediately. Phones appeared to capture the moment, and Maya saw Sora freeze mid-step in the courtyard, her face contorting with fury. In homeroom, Tae-won chose the empty seat next to Maya instead of his usual spot near the window. When Sora tried to approach during break, he cut her off. Stop spreading rumors about Maya, he said clearly, his voice carrying across the room. We're together, actually together. And if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with me, not her. Sora's face flushed red. Your father can talk to me directly, Tae-won finished. Maya's not some distraction or phase. She's important to me, and I'm not going to hide it anymore. The room had gone completely silent. Maya felt every eye on them but kept her head high, squeezing Tae-won's hand under the desk. Sora stared at them for a long moment before storming out, her friends scrambling to follow. Yuki caught up with Maya after class, grinning widely. That was the most dramatic thing I've ever seen, and I watch a lot of dramas. Maya laughed, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. I know, right? My life has become a drama. The best kind, Yuki said, linking arms with her as they walked to lunch. The kind with a happy ending. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. Tae-won's father did find out, and there was a tense dinner where Maya met his parents and felt thoroughly examined and found wanting. Sora continued to make snide comments when she could, though her influence waned when Tae-won made it clear he wasn't interested. Some students remained cold to Maya, seeing her as the outsider who'd somehow captured the most eligible boy at Hanbit Academy. But there were good moments too. Tae-won took her to his favorite art supply store in Insadong, and they spent hours browsing. They studied together at Moonlight Brew, though now they sat on the same side of the table instead of across from each other. He taught her more advanced Korean phrases, and she helped him with his English essays. They navigated the delicate balance of being teenagers in love while under the scrutiny of school, family, and social expectations. Maya's Korean improved dramatically. Her circle of friends expanded beyond Yuki to include others in the international program, and slowly Seoul began to feel less like a fantasy and more like home. She stopped comparing everything to the dramas she'd watched and started experiencing Korea for what it actually was: complicated, beautiful, challenging, and real. On the last day of the school year, Hanbit Academy held a closing ceremony in the auditorium. Maya had been chosen to give a speech representing the international students, and she stood at the podium looking out at the sea of faces that had once seemed so foreign and intimidating. When I came to Korea, she began in Korean, her accent still noticeable but her grammar solid, I thought I knew what to expect. I'd watched hundreds of hours of dramas, listened to countless songs, studied the culture from thousands of miles away. But nothing could have prepared me for the reality of being here. She caught Tae-won's eye in the third row, and he smiled encouragingly. I learned that real life is messier than any drama, Maya continued. It's harder, sometimes painful, often confusing, but it's also more rewarding. The friendships I've made here, the language I've learned not from textbooks but from conversations, the way I've grown from being scared and out of place to finding where I belong, none of that was scripted. Her voice grew stronger. I came to Korea chasing a dream I'd built from screens and songs. What I found was something better. A real life with real challenges and real people who've become real friends. Thank you to everyone who welcomed me, who was patient with my terrible Korean, who helped me understand that belonging isn't about fitting into someone else's story, it's about writing your own. The applause was warm, and as Maya returned to her seat, Yuki hugged her tightly. That was perfect, she whispered. After the ceremony, students spilled into the courtyard for the last time before summer break. Parents arrived for photos, groups clustered for tearful goodbyes, and promises to stay in touch filled the air. Maya found Tae-won waiting by the cherry tree near the back gate, the same tree where she'd first seen him surrounded by friends months ago. "So," he said, pulling her close, "you're staying for the summer?" "Mrs. Kim says I can stay with her until university starts," Maya confirmed. She'd been accepted to Korea University's international program, a decision that had felt both terrifying and absolutely right. "You're stuck with me." "Good," Tae-won said, kissing her forehead, "because I'm not done showing you Seoul. The real Seoul, not the drama version." Maya laughed, tilting her face up to his. "I think I'm finally ready for the real version." As they walked out of the school gates together, hand in hand, Maya thought about the girl who'd arrived at Incheon Airport months ago. Nervous, naive, full of expectations built from fiction. That girl would barely recognize who she'd become. She'd learned that courage wasn't just about chasing dreams across oceans. It was about standing up when people tried to diminish you, about being vulnerable enough to let someone see the real you, about finding home in unexpected places and unexpected people. Korea wasn't what she'd expected. It was better. Harder, yes. More complicated, absolutely. But real in a way that no drama could ever capture. And Tae-won, with all his flaws and fears and complicated family dynamics, was nothing like the perfect male leads she'd swooned over on her laptop screen. He was better too, because he was real, and he was hers. And together, they were writing a story that no script could have predicted. Seoul stretched before them in the summer evening, the city lights beginning to glow as the sun set behind the mountains. Somewhere, a street musician was playing a familiar K-pop song. Somewhere, a drama was probably filming on these same streets, actors reciting carefully written lines about fate and destiny. But Maya wasn't watching anymore. She was living, and it was perfect.